Hey, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate the fact that you took the time out to check out this video. Today what I'm doing is I am dealing with a CAN network, and I built one up on my desk. The whole purpose of this operation here, this exercise, is that this is a OBD2 dongle, right? I mean, you're probably familiar with this if you're seen my channel, right? This is, you have these in a car. All cars in the US have this connector inside, right? And basically, this is a dongle you can buy for like 20 bucks, cheap dongle, right? So my question is what is up with this? What is this dongle, people say it goes right into the CPU, this and that and everything else. But basically what this is this is just a CAN device. Okay, now what is, I had to do some learning about this, so okay, back to the point. My point was I needed to prove that this could operate as a generic CAN device in a car, not in a car, in an airplane, whatever, so that I could sort of control it, to sort of master it, to make it do what I wanted to do. So I had to sort of understand some things. So basically a CAN network is essentially two wires, and at either end is terminated by a 120 ohm resistor, right? So of course that's in parallel. So of course the total resistance is 60 ohms. 120 in parallel is 60 ohms. But basically that's what a CAN network is, and you just attach the devices on the network. And basically here is a, upside down. Here is a quick layout of what I've got here. Okay, you can see. I'm looking for a pointer here. My pencils are all... Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's the dongle. Pin 14 and pin 6 are the high and low CAN. CAN wires are labeled high and low. And there's specific electrical characteristics, which we don't care about here. 14 goes to low, 6 is, high. You look at the specs, you'll find that's the case. What I have down here is I have this 2515. It's a microchip IC, and it is a dedicated CAN controller. On one side, it's got a serial peripheral interface (SPI), it's got a bunch of lines actually. Right here's the this is the CAN device, right? That chip, that flat chip there. Now basically what I had to do is I had to sort of rig this up. You see that little green wire soldered onto that chip back there? That's because it needs 5 volts. The rest of the board's running at 3.3. There's a Raspberry Pi. So basically I got this Raspberry Pi back here wired up to this CAN device. So this Raspberry Pi and the CAN is, you could think of it as one device, right? And it's wired very simply into the network right there. There is where everything is tied in. Those are the high and low. So I have one device over here, which is sort of like I control it, and guess what? I have a nice monitor here for it, right? So I got a really pretty cool CAN monitor. It can send and receive, etc. And then I have my target device, which I'm experimenting with, right there, right? So the question is, can I write software that can control this like a regular CAN device on a network? Oh, by the way, there's the right, so there's the Raspberry Pi. What am I writing over there on the right? Keyboard, mouse, monitor. Right, because actually this Raspberry Pi, it's beautiful. It has a it takes USBs for the keyboards and mouse. It's got an HDMI output for this little monitor here, so it's really awesome. And then of course it's got like these electrical connectors and IOs to hook up to like external peripherals like this. And it's Linux. And what's really crazy is there's a driver for this board. You hook this board up, you get those wires running, and you just 1 or 2 lines in Linux, and boom. You have like the same equivalent to a UART, like a serial device. Really. Now I'm starting to understand why people really like Linux. I haven't written a single program for Linux other than some Python stuff, but I'm starting to get it, like especially on this kind of a level. Anyway, so there's the network, right? It's all interesting, but it gets even more interesting. So I have been working on this bi-directional stuff, and so let me get this app open here. I wrote a CAN app. Look at it, OBD2 CAN interface, right? So this is not the same thing that we had before, right? I'm using a lot of the stuff from my where's my thing? I use my trusty pointer. It's better than my fingers, right? What am I saying? I have no idea what I'm saying. Basically, I have just this generic CAN controlling module. My Linux went to sleep. and we can see the camera. I'm not even gonna try, right? And if I was, look, I'm not really a YouTuber. I'm just like, God help me, what I am. But I'm not hiding the camera, right? Say hi to the camera. It's right somewhere back there. Anyway, I can't help myself. I just digress all the time. You should see me when I'm trying to concentrate. It's an awful, scary thing. All right, let me just get rid of that menu. Oh, wrong mouse. All right, here we go. All right, so what happened here? Okay, so basically I got Linux on. Nothing's going on Linux. I got a command line. So what I'm doing is I am. I'm not. This is not going to be about how to run this on Linux, right? So what I'm doing is a CAN dump, right? So what this is doing now is it's just listening to the CAN network, which is just what I needed to do. So I wrote this application, and basically, it's based on the ELM 327. So look at all these protocols you can choose from. If you're trying to talk to your car, I suggest you select auto, and then it will find the protocol. Right here, in order to find a protocol, I have to have noise on the network, right? So it's pretty weird. All right, so if I go back to my Linux, I'm going to come out, and there's this thing called CAN-gen, right? So this generates noise on the network, right? No buffer space available. Why is that? Oh, I don't know what this problem is. Okay, will it work? Oh, because I got all those that were weird arguments. I think there's a... CAN-gen, will that work? No buffer space. It may be time to restart my Linux box. You know what I'm saying? Let me just go to the dump, right? So, okay, let me just see if this will work. I was going to initialize it on auto with noise on the network, but I'm going to bypass that because your car has always got noise. So I know that I am operating at... in most cars, or a lot of cars, 11 bit 500K kilobits per second. And what you need to do is these settings right here are only in effect at the moment you initialize. So I'm initializing, right? It's not looking for the network to auto initialize. Hopefully this will get done. You can't see it, but my dongle over here is, the lights are blinking and stuff. So now I'm just going to send, what is this? 2 bytes of data, and these are 2 bytes, and this is the active CAN ID is this guy. This number doesn't mean anything. This is just so if you want to set the CAN ID. So let's just like back up and not get too excited here. Let's just send. Okay, nice. All right, so what we got over here is you can see that the CAN networks receives the addresses here, and this is 8 bytes of data are coming across. Now, what's interesting here is everything is left to default, and what you'll see here is that I said to send 2 bytes, we got 8, but actually if you look closely, there's a 2 there, and then there's the 2 bytes that we have, right? Let me try that again. Now, what I have here is I have this nice thing to make it easy for me. It's like a memory, like on your car stereo, so I can just change this, right? Notice, like, as I change that, all these other values will change. So that was the first one we tried. So now I'm going to set 0100 and then send that, and that should make... Okay, so there it is. So now notice that 011 and 100 went. The data's not important, but the first byte here is the count. All right, now this is a weird thing because when I first started studying CAN, all right, this is... all right, so I'm going to reinitialize. I'm just going real fast. Now, you notice what happened, right? I said 2 bytes, we get 8, and then we get this weird thing like, well, there's 2, and then you can follow, and it makes sense. But when I started looking at CAN, I was seeing a much more simplified looking thing. So I'm reinitializing right now to settings that are not typically for a car. Now, if I send my 2 bytes... right, there it is. Now it's just the 2 bytes I send. I could send whatever I want. Let's see, do I have anything else saved in here? Yeah, 7 bytes, right? So let me see if I could send, I expect it to send 7 bytes now? Come on. Okay, 7 bytes, right? So, and then let me see, I can back up and I can send 4 or something, send, right, okay, what's going on here? Oh, because there's noise. Oh, because there's noise being generated on the network. Oh, boy. It is definitely time to, something's going on with this. Anyway, by the way, you'll receive messages if they're there for you on this application. Let me just I don't want to stop this video and restart this video again. So let me just reboot this because this is really fast. Let me see. This Linux stuff is like, yeah, reboot. Let's do that. Come on. All right, so that is a lot faster than a Windows thing. This doesn't even have any actual hard drives in it, so I'm just going to talk over, and I'm just kind of hoping, yeah, come on, it's going to come back on. Yeah, there we go. Something's sort of happening over there. Now, this guy really can't do anything. Well, he can try to do something, right, if I send. Let's see what's happening. Right. So right now the network's down because, right. So this thing actually has that device hooked up as a driver. So let me come in here. Let me open up our... Jeez, I'm going blind here. I can't see anything. Okay, so let me maximize this guy. I should put my glasses on. And then one last thing, let me increase the size here a little bit. Okay, that helps. That helps. Okay, so let's go right to the... I'm not going to generate. I'm just going to go right to the dump. Network is down. Okay, the reason is because I did not set the speed of my CAN. So let me go. Where's my speed command? This is Linux. And these commands are from a thing called command... Jesus, way back there, isn't it? Oh, it's so far in the past. There it is, I think. That was it. Was that it? Yeah. Okay, so here I'm going to set my... in Linux, because I just started up setting my bitrate to 500K. Now I'm looking for my CAN dump. Right, there we go. All right, so now I expect if I just kind of blow out something here, right? Okay, there it is. All right, now I shouldn't get any weird stuff coming back, but hey, you never know what's going on here. All right, so back to the program. So if you're talking to your car, these settings apparently are not. There's an auto format going. Notice how. Here you absolutely know what's getting sent, right? I say 4 bytes, and here's the 4 bytes, and of course over here you see exactly that, the 4 bytes and the 4 bytes, and it's very clear. But DLC is, I think, data length character, right? So when you set that off, now I got to initialize, right? When you set the data length character off, then it's fixed bytes. Then it's 8 bytes all the time, which is apparently what most of these cars are using. So let me send and see what happens now. Okay, so now it's fixed to 8 bytes, but you see the problem, right? Now if you're the receiver of this data, right, over here I said send 4 bytes, and we can see the 4 bytes, and we see that the 4 bytes were actually sent. But if you're receiving it, you're like, well, where does it start, where does it end, and what are these extra zeros or whatever, right? So apparently they came up with this formatting for the protocol, so I'm going to init. Now I'm initializing to what my actual OBD2 application inits to, and now I'm going to send the same. No, we haven't changed our command at all. Now notice what happens, right? This we're on a fixed length, but now at least at the beginning it has the count. Oh, 4 bytes. So now if I'm the receiver, I can say, well, that first thing right there is always going to be the count. Now watch, if I change it to 2, it'll stay consistent. So when now here, oh geez, I didn't mean to do that. So what happens now, based on the protocol, when I try to send 8 characters, I will get an error that the command is not recognized because it can't. This protocol fails. This formatting and protocol fails, right? But watch, now remember, I can't send 8 characters if my formatting is on because of this weird way that it's formatting. You following me so far? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the most simplified way, which is not apparently what the cars do, but what a generic CAN network will do. So let me reinitialize. Right? Now if I send my 8 bytes, there's my 8 bytes, right? No fuss, no muss, right? So let's make sure that first byte went. So let me come up here. Jeez. And let me just put anything in there. F. Oh, by the way, this is all hex, right? So you can only enter hex digits here, by the way. Hex is a 0 to F. And just so that we can keep our columns to a minimum, right? Instead of using 10 characters, we use 15 to 16 characters per column, right? It just keeps things more concise. So let me go ahead and send this. Come on. Did I hit send? Am I having mental problems? Oh, no, it went. Okay, so I'm just not watching. Okay, so see our F8 is over there, not this weird formatting thing. So to get the most generic type of a CAN... Oh, I didn't show you. We can also set our CAN ID. I didn't even tell you that. Well, I did tell you that, but I didn't show it to you. See, there's our 429. I got all these weird numbers. Now, the memory will store everything on the screen, but the CAN ID only gets set when you explicitly set it. What was the 429? So let's set it to whatever. These are random numbers, right? Set the CAN ID. Send, and 3F4, right? And of course it all carries through. So basically this is a really generic. Now what I need to do, the point of this video is to show that I needed to prove that I could communicate on a CAN network to a car, to anything, or to whatever. And this and I've seen a lot of people. Okay, so we're gonna dismount, man. We're gonna dismount from the okay. So what I've seen is people will use this, and this is this is a very effective CAN device here, right? These three things together is basically one CAN device, and then here's the other device. And so I have a CAN network that has two devices, 1, 2. But the main thing is most people. The nice thing that this is going to do, and I'm going to make this software free and available, is you can now use your cell phone and some cheap $20, $30 dongle and destroy your car's computer. No, just those among us who are hackers, right, and want to play with things, right? You got a 20-year-old car or something, and it's like, and honestly, look, this theoretically, this CAN bus, right, CAN hooked, right? Let's say this is your ECU. Right, for argument's sake, or this is your ECU in your car, and there's all kinds of devices in your car. Yes, it does hook directly to the ECU, but still the ECU has to interpret those commands, right? All we've done here is prove that we move stuff across the network. There's other work to be done, right? What do these numbers mean? Right, 1, 0, 0, 1. What does that all mean? So there has to be the ECU, like opening and closing the windows, for example. The ECU has to receive the value and say, oh, this means open the window and close the window or whatever. So the idea that your dongle is like connected to your CPU and it's going to blow it up, it reminds me of the theories, the stuff back like in the days of dial-up internet, and people would say, oh, don't let the hackers in, they'll blow up your monitor right on your desktop. No, year 2000 bug, everything else, just stop. All right, if I keep carrying on, I'm going to get into nonsense. This is a fixed focus camera, so I'm sorry for, getting crazy. Oh, also, one other thing that you might be interested. See that ID 7DF? Apparently, in vehicles, 7DF is a diagnostic address, and these numbers, if you send these numbers into the car at this address with off this unchecked, this is essentially a scan tool. What do I mean by that? Let me pull up a video I did from my truck. Whoops. How do I do it? Oh, man, I don't know how to work this video. I'm not a YouTuber. Come on, discard this. Get out of here. All right, so let me see. There we go. So this is me in my truck, right? Notice the ID, and I'm initializing 0100 is a PID, and I'm reading it, and this is, if you go on Wikipedia, just look up PID 01, you'll see that those numbers actually are, this is what a scan tool reads. So a scan tool is a CAN device on 7DF. A cheap scan tool. A more expensive tool is going to get funkier, right? But essentially what I'm doing there is I'm sending 2 bytes, and it is the classic OBD2 stuff. It's PID 0101. Now, the one I'm calling 0101, and I'm calling 0100. And it's returning, whatever the data is. It's raw data, right? Remember, this is just a CAN app, but it's going to return the response. So just by leaving this application, all right, enough of this. All right. So just by leaving this application at this address, you're essentially like, a real dumb version of a scan tool, a simple version. But this is where I needed to get. I needed to get to a position where, this is more than just the, where I feel that we now have much deeper control of this thing. And the cool thing is, like, if you have some kind of weird CAN network, I think this will even go back, like, pretty far. Like to older cars before 90, whatever the standard, I think it was 93 or something. Look at all these weird protocols. They're weird. They're not weird. They're just protocols, right? There's some slower. Some of these are pretty old. So I don't know. I don't have any car, so, oops. Yeah, that's right. I guess no, this is the first version. Yep, version 0. So, let me get back there. Anyway, so there it is, man. There is, I tell you, Linux is wild, man. Linux is really wild. And I'm really enjoying this project because I get to write some XAML. I get to write some multi-threaded applications. I'm using Visual Studio. I get to do some soldering. I get to put some electronics together. I get to mess with Linux and figure out what distro, you get to the Linux, how they talk distro. That means distribution, because there's 99,000 different versions of Linux that I didn't really understand. I still don't understand. Anyway, so I just wanted to give you like the airplane view, of my camera. I hope that wasn't too disturbing. I should maybe put a warning here. But anyway, I will give a link to this application, man. Have at it, bro. Just be careful because, even though it's just data sent to ECUs, you might end up sending some crazy data. I don't know. Maybe you could even do something crazy like start a Flash program that doesn't ever get complete and your car never works again. It's possible. There was some dude wrote on one of my things somewhere, said, "Oh, yeah, get to a real mechanic after you destroy your car." And I'm like, yeah. Hey, he might be right. Or she, or whatever it was. All right. Thanks a lot for coming. Appreciate it. Really appreciate you stopping by. Thanks a lot. And, hey, have a great day. All right? Thank you.